Welcome! This is Carl's Roller Coaster Podcast. Throughout the world, Kiko has received highest rankings in countless polls as best guitarist and landed the front cover of major guitar magazines such as Young Guitar, Guitar Player and Guitar World. He also began to devote himself to studying and teaching music business, marketing and career development, speaking at major Brazilian cities for musicians and corporations. Father of three and a husband, in 2017, Kiko became the first Brazilian musician to receive a Grammy Award from the Recording Academy. Kiko, welcome to the roller coaster, my friend.
Hey Carl, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you? How's the weather in LA?
Sunny and a very sunny winter, and it's a pleasure to talk to you, to chat with you.
Yes. It's a pleasure. Yeah. Last time we saw each other was that was September last year, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I was in New York.
New York.
Just about to play for the first time in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, that's right.
And with Scorpions, it was amazing. And then we had this jogging or running in the Central Park. It was great.
Yeah, actually went. You really like from those 2 days that we jogged in Central Park, you carried on running and you ended up, like, I think 2 weeks after that doing 21K on your own, didn't you?
Yeah, I have to thank you, publicly for that, because after that 2 days, I broke my limits, my mindset that I was only capable to run like 8K or 10K, and then suddenly I was, running 20. So it was just because of you,
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, no, my pleasure. It's great because I remember we talking about it while we were running that, you trying to, do 10, 12, 15, and then literally like a couple of weeks after that, you did 21. And then you messaged me saying, we got to plan and try to do a half marathon, next year at some point.
Yeah.
But with your crazy schedule, you never know where you're going to be next. And
it's impossible. I do my own marathon, against me, just that. But actually I did a 21 because I got lost. I was in this city somewhere in the United States and I just got lost. And then I said, you know what, you gotta keep running.
Gotta keep going
until I find the hotel back.
It's amazing.
Find my way back to the hotel. Yeah. But it was great. So then it was like I broke my
your
my limitation.
Record, yeah?
My mindset that it's impossible to run more than 10K or something. My body will never survive or something like that. And suddenly I was like running 15, 17, 20, and it's wholly like a mind thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. And your body just follows it.
I was just talking yesterday to this guy. It's completely insane, like racing those 100 milers in like the big events, and he did Spartathlon in Greece, which is that 153-mile race. It's just absolutely insane. And
how many hours is that? Like
he finished, basically the 100 milers he finished in like 30 hours, and this Spartathlon, which is 150, he did in I can't remember it now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just
everybody has to listen to the
everybody will have to listen to the podcast. Yeah.
Okay.
Kiko, I wanted to you've been living in LA for a few years now, and I remember when you had just moved in, you were living in West Hollywood, and
2012.
Yes.
2012. Yeah.
2012, and then you were living in West Hollywood, and it was just like your first steps into what eventually, and you obviously wasn't aware of all of the. Well, I'm going to use again the word, but the roller coaster of what was about to basically turn your life into, towards the positive, as a positive thing, obviously. So many positives of what happened to you. But I was going to ask, what are the positives that come to mind to you when you compare your life nowadays in in Los Angeles in comparison to São Paulo?
Well, the positive things, I think first about the family, and then it's hard to compare because when I was living in São Paulo, I was a single man. I was not married. I didn't have any children. So, who has children knows the big difference in life when you don't have children and when you have children. So it's very hard to compare the lifestyle because that's the big change. I think it's not the country, but it's the new lifestyle, having children. And of course, having all the worries of having a baby, having children, and in a city like São Paulo, I love São Paulo, and I love the people. I have so many friends, and then I've been in Brazil, in the last year, maybe 2 or 3 times, in the last year. So I love to be there to hang with people. I feel, great there. But there's some issues in the city too. Although LA, you can find the same issues, but it's more like in some neighborhoods, and some other neighborhoods I'm talking about feeling safe, having the freedom, which is like the main thing that you lose when you go to big cities like São Paulo, is the freedom of, you have to live in a gated community. You have to have, even like people with more or some kind of a money, not like a super millionaire people, just like a, high middle class. They have to have bulletproof cars, so that's kind of scary, isn't it? And so you lose your freedom because you cannot just walk around. Some places you can. You have to take care of your phone or computer or something. It's all that. And when you have a baby, so that's really kind of scary, if you're gonna walk around with a baby in a city that offers so many possibilities of kidnapping or whatever,
And I'm sure
robbery. So this is before being a single guy. I was living in my house. It was all cool, although you can, I was robbed.
God,
there,
and that was a huge house, by the way, wasn't it? Wow, for a single man, it was a very good house too.
I was like, I had once like a gun in my head, which is kind of scary, but it was fine. But having children, then that's not the place to be, That's so that's when I compare. São Paulo is more to LA. Although LA, you have some areas it would be as dangerous as, And that the main difference from LA and São Paulo regarding the feeling safe would be here in some neighborhoods you feel safer, way safer. And then in São Paulo, there is no neighborhood that you can feel really safe, So basically that,
Did Maria, your wife, actually played a role in this? Because she's Finnish, and
yeah, my wife is Finnish. So in Finland, you don't have anything like that. Even for her, LA is like super dangerous. She's always afraid of things because she comes from a country that nothing happens, there's no violence, there's nothing there. So
for her was probably never, there was never a chance, you guys never even considered the possibility of living in Brazil.
Because of the kids, because of the kids, yeah. I think if we, if there was no kids in our life, we could consider. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cities, and you can live in São Paulo, but then you have to have like a bulletproof car, and maybe have a bodyguard. Some places.
Bodyguards, and they pay private security and all that business. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds fancy. Out of Brazil, but in Brazil, it's kind of, like a high middle class. You have to think about it already.
Absolutely. There are people even
it's not like it's like maybe in some countries this would be only for the Pope and the President, Prime Minister, and in Brazil it's like the guy has like if he wants to have a nice car, and I'm not talking about a Ferrari, I'm talking about just an average nice car that you see a lot here in LA, and then you better have, you better have some kind of a protection, extra protection, yeah.
Kiko, what are the something that I've seen in recent times? Well, basically, I can absolutely attest this. After you moved to LA, I can't think of many other Brazilian musicians, at least from the people that I know, that were living there or had made the move. I can think at the top of my head one or two musicians that were living in LA at the time. But then after you moved to LA, there was this crazy surge of loads and loads. I mean, people that I know, people that are connected to people that I know that just moved to LA to either study music or to try and pursue a career in music. And we obviously are very aware of the powerless that is a Brazilian passport throughout the world. So when it comes to legalities, what are the legalities involved for a Brazilian citizen to go and live in California, in America, and actually work there and be legal in the country, basically?
Well, I don't think I'm the right guy to talk about that, but that's what you're saying is true, because I know there's a lot of Brazilians here, as there's a lot of nationalities here in LA. You can find Vietnamese or Armenians or like Japanese, Korean, Chinese. Everyone is here. So Argentinian, Chilean, and so Mexicans, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And like a lot of Central America, you have the feeling like half of LA is from Central America. It has the feeling, I don't know, but have the feeling. But my case, there's a lot of Brazilian, I feel, in the music industry, like friends. A lot of people came after me. I have this feeling, and a lot of people is always asking this question, what did you do to be living in LA? But the thing, it was during the 2012, and when I started doing my the paperwork for that, it was 2008, 2009, and during this time, like 10 years ago, when I start thinking about moving, and I start asking and hiring the lawyers and for that, immigration lawyers.
So back in 2008, 2009, you were already planning on possibly moving to America?
Yes.
So the whole process basically took you roughly 3 years.
No, well, the thing was, I wanted to stay here. I had in mind, I wanted to stay in LA for a year or something like that. I didn't want to move because my life was good in Brazil, career, and I was traveling all over the world anyways. I was doing my stuff, so it was good. My house was great, everything was great. But there was always the what can I do next? What would be the next step? What would be the big dream? So like after coming here to U.S. for different reasons, I said, what? Let me see this the paperwork, but I don't want to come here illegally, of course, and I don't want to come here with just like a tourist visa and then start doing something. And a lot of people do that, and then try to go to school and try to get a visa, maybe doesn't get it and have to come back. I went to a lawyer.
Well.
Yeah, I went to a lawyer and said, like, is it possible to come for real? And then the lawyer told me, yes, you can, because you have a career and there's something called extraordinary ability, right? Alien. So, which is like is a kind of, it's not a visa, is an opening to get the green card straight. No, you don't go through visas or whatever kinds of visas. You go straight to the green card, 10 years green card, no sponsorship, no company, nothing. You
Amazing.
Just prove that you're like top of what you do in music, arts, science, sports, anything. So, which is very clever from US, because then they can suck all the brains from the world.
Absolutely.
Because US has the power of the money, has the power of the big companies, and if they can, but the basic education is not great here, right? We all know that. And then if they can suck the brains that had great education in other countries, Europeans, Indian, people from India, from Japan, even Brazilians that we in Brazil have different Brazils. We were talking not good things about São Paulo, and I want to just add something here, because Brazil is a great country in many, and we suffer some problems with violence in the big cities, but it's an amazing country with amazing people, and is a great place to be and to live, and the education there is great if you have the chance to pay right?
For it, exactly.
If you don't come from a very poor family, but if you come from a middle class family and have the chance to go through the schools and pay that private schools, you're going to have an amazing education, and then that's why you see a lot of Brazilians doing so great here.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I can get this kind of a green card. So I went through the process, but it took a long time. It took like a year or something, because of me, not because of the process, because I decided to do all the stuff out of US. So I had to wait for the paperwork to be analyzed in US, then sent back to the embassy in Brazil. Then they booked the interview in Brazil, but I was on tour, so I have to reschedule the interview. And there was many things going on in my life. So the US thing was a possibility, but my life was doing great. So I was like, well, let's see. I was not about to come to US to see if the green card would work or not. So when I came to the US, I was already with the green card for 10 years, ready to come and work and whatever, ready to live,
When you got your green card, were you already married at the time that you got your green card?
Yeah, that's interesting stuff. It was I got married during the process of this, in between.
So when it comes to Europe, for example, what kind of visa did you get? Did you get an indefinite leave to remain kind of thing?
No, in Europe.
Yeah.
No, in Europe I got because of my wife and the kids that were born there. So I have a 1 year visa. I think I cannot work. I don't know, but I was not working. I was not intending to work there anyways, So it's just a visa for a year, and then if because I'm married, so you can get a visa. They give you I think I can work, to be honest. I don't know.
I think you can, yeah. As I don't know about the Finnish law.
So I was married, I can, but they don't give you like a full-on citizenship or 10 years like US did. They give you 10 years, then you have the proof that you're married, and then after a year, if you're still married, they're probably gonna give you another year, and then I don't know how it goes. Maybe they give more
after,
years.
I don't know, 5-6 years or whatever many years you can get the citizenship, perhaps. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But now I'm totally attached to Finland. I have 3 kids with a Finnish passport, and then my wife. So so like a family. Family.
It's a Finnish
ties,
family.
They call, right? Yeah. So
and
anyways,
it
might be that one day we go to Finland. It's like it's a great country as well.
Yeah.
But it's a bit too cold.
Yeah. What's your preference?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, because you were born in Rio and then you moved to São Paulo, and I mean, I myself, I was born in Brazil, lived in Brazil for like 25 years, and then living in the UK for the last 10 years of my life. It's always complicated, the weather. You do get used to it, but it's never something that you're gonna be very comfortable with. So I think and California has just an amazing weather.
Opposite, right? So, and then with the internet nowadays, so you're like suffering in minus 15 or something in Finland, and then you go like online and see your friends at the beach or something, because there's summertime.
The wonders of social media.
Yeah, or if you go from if you travel, like last year, I went from Finland to Bahia, which is in Brazil. So from the minus 15, I went to plus 30s or 40s or something.
Shocking,
so like a beach. So, but it's that's you can get used to it if you have like the right. If you know what to do during the winter time, And but it's hard. The darkness it is kind of hard. You have to have some kind of a schedule, a mindset, or like really like a busy day, like just wake up and do the stuff. I was trying to run, like we're talking about running. I was trying to run like in -10, -5.
And you did it several times because I saw on
I did.
Instagram. You're always out there on. I mean, it's snowing and you're running out there. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
There you go,
yeah.
Kiko.
Yeah, I would never imagine doing that. For me, like -15 or -10, it would be something, crazy to go out.
Crazy to go out,
But
yeah.
actually, it's possible, and it's nice, it's beautiful, and it's not cold.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine if you have to buy the right, the proper,
The right gear to do it. Yeah.
It's not even.
Which you probably didn't at the time, right?
Yeah, I did. I went to the store, like sports store, and asked the guy, like, give me everything that I would need to run in this weather.
In this weather,
And of course,
-10.
So anybody in Finland knows how what you have to wear.
Mm-hmm.
So I just bought the right gear, and then I started running, and it was a good thing to get through this darkness, because you can get very depressed or crazy. You wake up at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, it's still dark.
Yeah.
And 3:30 or 4
It's dark
p.m.
again.
it's dark again.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy. I know.
feels the day is like too short, and you don't have the vitamin D, or I don't know. It's a weird feeling after 2 months like that,
Mm-hmm.
And I had that with the newborn babies, twins.
Wow.
So running was very important for that too, just to
as
get
like a therapy,
create
right?
stress.
So you when you're saying about your decision to move to America, or thinking, like you had a great life at the time in São Paulo, you're already basically doing all the things that for the vast majority of musicians is a dream and will continue to be a dream. But then you had that gut feeling of what's next, what could I possibly do? Can I achieve more? Do you think that the opportunities that came your way would have come to you either way, if you're in São Paulo, if you're in Finland, or do you think that taking the move and being in Los Angeles made a difference for the things that basically happened during the last 3 to 4 years on your life, and obviously joining Megadeth being the biggest thing?
Oh yeah. Well, having the babies, you can have that anyway,
Mm-hmm.
anywhere, right?
Yeah.
But the Megadeth. Yes, I think being in LA, it was good. It was good. Although, it's funny, but it was not the reason that because Dave Mustaine, I know he was like checking guitar players online, probably, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was asking some people from the management and some other guitar players from the bands from the management, people around him, suggest some names so I can check the names out on the internet. So some people suggest my name. So it was all, word of mouth and internet, online thing. So it could be that I would be in Brazil. It could be.
Especially because you've met Dave Mustaine years prior. You guys were cover of Japanese magazine.
I
you knew
did a
David
front cover
Ellefson as well.
I did a front cover from Burn magazine in Japan, and in 2008, and it was great. But it was not the reason, because he didn't remember about that photo session.
He did not.
That was
really?
me. He remembered that he did a picture with a guy from a band, whatever, in the front cover that we were playing together in the same festival, because Angra is pretty big in Japan, was always pretty big in Japan, and with Gold Disc and all that. So when I was in Japan for the Loud Park Festival, Burn magazine, which is the biggest rock magazine in Japan, asked me and Mustaine to do this front cover, which was great for me to be, side by side with Dave. But for Dave, it was just, this dude from
from Brazil.
Yeah, from this band that the Japanese liked. So whatever, I would do the picture. But then, when he would start talking in 2015, then I sent him the picture. And then he said, wow, yeah, I remember that, then he kind of remembered. But I was already talking to him about for the audition, which never happened, the audition. But but what the funny thing was, I played with Ellefson, David, in São Paulo, in Brazil. So I met David at the NAMM show few times. So I knew him, he knew me, kind of, the angry guy that hangs there in the NAMM show or something like that. Mm-hmm. But then we had the chance to jam in this Metal All Stars concert that happened in Bolivia and São Paulo, and we played a Sabbath song and Black Sabbath and with Neonites, I think, and we played a Queensryche song, Jet City Woman, because Geoff Tate was singing, Ellefson was on the bass, I was playing guitar, and Vinny Appice on drums. So it was amazing. So he saw me playing on stage with him. So Mustaine called David and asked him, "Do you know this guy Kiko? Because I'm getting these names and I like Kiko, Mm-hmm. And then Ellefson said, "Yeah, I just jammed with him, So it was a good. So when David said, when Ellefson said to Dave, "Oh, Kiko sounds, is great or seems to be a good fit." It was a good thing because they're partnered for 30 years, and if Ellefson says something to Mustaine, he really considers, mm-hmm. And so I think the decision was pretty much online, and then I played with Ellefson in Brazil, but the fact that I'm in LA, I think it adds, because for the tours, for the meetings, for rehearsals, for anything, it's good to have the guy living
locally,
in US. Although I'm not living in the same cities or same state of all the even the crew members. Actually, Dirk is the one that is kind of lives 10 minutes from my house. Mm-hmm. But when I was invited to the band, Dirk was not in the band. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dirk for the drummer.
Yeah.
So
fantastic.
Being in LA, in big city, is always, it's
makes
good.
it a big difference. I think LA, it's still the it is the very last hub for rock and metal musicians in the world. It's the very last hub that you can go there, you can meet people. There are still bars, there's still venues, the historical places, most of them at least, are still standing. You go to the Sunset Strip, there's a big history on that part of town, and very different than other parts in the world, like London, for instance, which is things are just being completely. I mean, all the venues being shut down, and the whole city being.
Well, that's happening here too. I think it's happening here too. At least that's what people say, and we don't know. It's changing. Things are changing here too, but it's still like there's a lot of music industry here. The record labels, the offices, the management, the big booking agencies, and all the film industry. So there's a lot of music happening still here. So it is a good place to be. Also, Nashville is a good place to be as well. And people say I've been there a few times, and Dave Mustaine lives there. And it's turning more into it's getting more rock and roll there. Mm-hmm. Not only country. It's like a really music city with a lot of management companies, booking agencies, and as well all the industry is moving there. A lot of musicians are moving to Nashville as well.
It's very difficult when you stop and think about the future. Like if I find it really. I want to ask you this, but most people, when you ask, people come always with like a very simplistic answer. That you gotta do your best in order to achieve your dreams. You gotta do this. You gotta learn. You gotta study. You gotta learn all the tricks of the business. You can't be only a good guitarist or a good singer or a good this or a good that. You gotta be your own manager. All of those things that everybody always talk about. Being good at what you do and getting as much information and developing yourself as much as possible. but it's there's so much.
That's true, you know.
It is true, absolutely. It is 100% true, more than ever. But there's so much more involved, because being in a band and trying to make it, and when I say trying to make it, it's simply trying to get, you know, your business going. So you have a band, it is a business, you just want to pay the bills, right? And getting to that level nowadays, it's so difficult. It's almost impossible. And seeing bands from people like, you get I was talking to Matt Heafy from Trivium last year while in Copenhagen. They were touring, and we were just having lunch, him and his wife, and we were talking about like you know, bands that were touring with them. Shapes, it's a band led by Griffin Dickinson, son of Bruce Dickinson, and very good band, great vocals, you know. It's very different, and these guys, you know, they get like lots of opportunities, you know. I mean, lots of connections, and you know, they come from a different place than the vast majority of us all, you know. They do have a family, huge background in music, which obviously can help. It's just like, you know, if you graduate as a lawyer or in medical school and you want to become this, you know, a criminal lawyer, and your family has a background, that obviously your family will have connections and will help you out to achieve and get yourself in a good position, get yourself in a good job, and you wouldn't be different in music. But even for these people, when it comes to music, having a band, touring the world, getting great support act slots, getting funding from whatever the source would it be, you know, you still look at each other and say, Jesus, I mean, when and if...
I don't think being the son of somebody in music helps that much, you know. It gets a hype, you know, in the beginning. Oh, that's the son of this guy or this or whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. But in the end, the music has to be good. The guy has to have a good connection with the fans and build a career the same way. Of course, there's a little bit of a hype because of the surname, the family name. But if the guy's not talented, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I just used...
You have so many examples of that, you know, and some other ones that really did work. And I don't know, you can give me some examples. None come to mind, only the Enrique Iglesias. But he's, you know, good singer, whatever, you know, doing good. And there's so many great...
I think the originality, or being original, it's just such a rare thing to be original.
Being the son of somebody, a great, like maybe being the son of Bruce Dickinson, or it's like the son of Pele, you know?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He couldn't play soccer. He had to be he decided to play soccer, but then he
ended up being what, drug dealer or something. And then he ended up in jail or something, wasn't it?
Who? Yeah. Well, that's another story. But anyways, he was a goalkeeper. He couldn't be like playing soccer, because he would be always the son of Pele, and he would never be as good as. Yeah. And then it's complicated for the kid. So there's a lot of expectations. So sometimes it's way harder. I just met Duizo Zappa at NAMM show. We did like a short video there. It's great, but he's great, you know? And he's great, but he's like kind of also playing the music of his father and kind of keep the legacy. And then he has this other thing, because he's a great guitarist, a great artist, and then he keeps the legacy of the father, which is a different thing. And then he works, you know, doing the Zappa play Zappa kind of thing, you know. I don't know. I think in this case, what you're talking about, it is difficult, and then you have to decide what you want. The problem is sometimes people have like high expectations, and then I don't remember when it was possible. I don't even know if once in my life I survived and lived from the band exclusively, you know. And I think maybe that's a mistake there. I don't know, but so I was always doing some extra stuff. So I was never waiting, you know. So we had the band Angra, and we dedicated our time, our effort, our money, you know, our knowledge. We're learning, doing all, you know, like any other band, like really focused in our with what we wanted, mainly in the beginning, deciding the perfect name for the band that could represent Brazil, but at the same time who could have like a meaning in English, and being some sort of a special band, like playing this metal, very European metal mixed with progressive rock and mixed with Brazilian elements and classical music. Doing something there was a lot of bands doing that, but we were trying to find our something special, and then try to find some fans for that, and then suddenly we found it in Japan, the other side of the world, and we kept doing it, and for many years. But at the same time, I was not sitting at home, when is going to be the next gig? And because then I would be suffering, because it was very hard in the beginning. And when I'm talking the beginning, I'm talking about the first 8 years. And
wow, really? Even like all the way up to...
For me, it's the beginning, because we did the 2 albums, 3 albums. It was very hard. It's hard, but it's good,
Yeah, the band June at Fireworks was like...
to be bad. Being hard is good. You just like go and rehearse, have fun, and compose songs, and work and travel and be in a tour bus and do all that. If you like it, it's great, but it's hard. And then the results come slowly, and then you have problems with the band members and all that. You suffer because you're passionate about music, you're passionate about the band you're building, and then have all this relationship with the other guys of the band or whatever, and then it's always difficult and very suffering. And then you have your personal life that you have to deal with, because if you want to be a musician, you're going to start touring, you're going to start being, in the studio for a month, and then your girlfriend is gonna complain, and when you go home, you want to practice guitar or whatever, or meetings or something that is important, because you're like so focused in making that band to happen.
Yeah,
it's difficult, but at the same time, in my case, as a guitar player, because I was always passionate about the guitar world thing, the guitar players, the instrumental music, guitar lessons and guitar clinics, and instruments and pedals and guitars and amplifiers and all that. So I went to this path as well, and I was teaching, I was giving clinics, I was doing whatever, getting sponsorship from brands, and then I was getting some money from that as well. So I was never waiting at home. Oh, my band is not happening this month. No, there was a lot of months that we're not playing, and then with having other.
Then you started doing lots and lots of workshops as well after the reformulation of the band, wasn't it?
The thing is, if you like, let's say we're doing with Angra, we're doing like one concert in São Paulo a year, and that's a strategy. Because you play every weekend, how many people you're gonna play for? Hundreds of people. But if you do once a year, you can play for 3, 4, 5,000, and then you do a big event, you do a big show. So scarcity, So, but we were able to do that just because I was doing other clinics, other stuff, little other events, or we were like trying to go to other cities, or maybe starting to play in Europe, or trying to go to Japan or whatever. All the stuff. So it was well planned. Some people I know we have to play, and then you start playing the same city several times, and then what's going to happen? We're going to start playing smaller clubs, because,
Were you guys all like...
It's even worse. Nowadays, even worse with YouTube and so many bands touring, and big bands touring forever. You have to remember, it's not like sports. Music's not sports. Like a great player, like let's say a soccer player, he's 35, 36, he's going to retire. And then he's going to open space to the new generation. And music, that doesn't happen. Rolling Stones is still playing, so it just adds up, You have Rolling Stones, and then you have whatever, U2, and then it comes Coldplay, and then comes Muse, and it adds up, So the competition gets harder and harder, and all the music business shift to a different path because of all the MP3 and all that in the year 2000. So all those bands and composers, they have to go, they have to tour.
Yeah.
Somehow to make the business, to keep going the business, and which was very normal in Brazil since the 60s, because the royalties, for the composers were never paid in Brazil. It was a mess, right? So the great composers like Jobim, the guy who did Girl from Ipanema, right? He had to tour, because that was the only way to get money. So Brazil, this is not new for the Brazilian great composers. They always had to tour and play and sing. Even they were not great singers, the composer, they go and do shows singing with their whatever composer's voice.
Yeah.
Because they had money, and the only way was to do shows and to show their faces. While in U.S., as you have great societies collecting the royalties, ASCAP, PMI, and all that, so the great composers, sometimes you don't know who they are because they're at home composing.
Yeah, there's a big business behind it, right? People that just write music for other people to release them, and that's a very good
artists. Even like the big name, like the Max Martin, most of the people don't know his face. Of course, you can Google and then you're gonna know his face. But he's the guy behind all the big success from all these artists from the past 15, 20 years. From Britney Spears to Katy Perry to Adele, So it was always possible in U.S. for a composer to be only a composer, but the composers from a band and bands that compose and perform, before they kind of sharing the revenue, having royalties and sales from the albums and the tours. And then suddenly they have to be only on tour because the royalties are not coming anymore. And then merchandising and ads and other kinds of forms of revenues you see artists doing from the past 15 years.
Yeah.
To the extent of creating big business like the Beats or something,
The thing is with touring, I mean, most people would sign their names on the sheet and say on the contract and say, hey, good stuff, put me on the road. I want to work my ass off and tour and tour and tour. But the thing is with touring, in order for you to tour, you gotta sell tickets. And in order for you to sell tickets, you gotta have somehow a name. And in order to have a name, you gotta either have had in the past or on recent times something that that sold, that basically people got to know you, either an album, either a single or something like that. And with no music sales whatsoever these days, there's less money in the industry to push towards making artists, to develop artists. People don't develop artists anymore. There's no more like signing a contract for 3-4 records, which used to be pretty standard in the old days. So it is a very, very difficult business because yes, you got to tour in order to survive.
I don't agree.
You don't?
I don't agree. No, you're forgetting something. You're forgetting the internet. The power of internet is way better. I wish, when I started in the early 90s, we had to find this one person that, could listen to our demo, and then from the demo, they would, get some money and pay us to record. And was way more difficult in my point of view. Now you can record at home and start posting it. And you can go to the Google Trends and see what's happening. And then you just go there and then, start doing whatever music or conversations or chat or something or podcast or something about what's happening and give your opinion. You don't need anybody to stop you. You don't need anybody to choose you from, you just go and do it. And then who is still thinking all those days was better is wrong. It's wrong. Just do it. And then you get your followers and you have to work your ass off to get more followers and to interact with them. We're talking about social media, and you have to be social in a social media. You have to talk to people. You have to engage and discover who likes my music, and what's the problem with my music or my concert or something, and then you fine tune, and then you create the right thing for that right people, and then you try to you learn that you can learn using the internet and then you just start growing to a certain level that it's going to be possible to come to a booking agency or to other bands or something to, okay, let's do a tour. I have these followers. I have this mailing list. I have, my Facebook page or my Instagram or something, and then I can, do a tour and then,
Okay, but think this way. You're a musician. You start your career. You're 16, 17, 18-year-old. And you have your first band, and you guys wrote a bunch of songs, and you're all friends, and you're all super excited, and you're living on this digital age, and it's all amazing. Great. You recorded a song. You set up your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. You're all gigs, you're doing videos, you're posting videos online, you are playing the circuit in whatever city you're living in the world, and you're contacting people via email, you're sending your music via email or even post, physical form to labels, to management, all of that. How to something to become viral, to get to a point that okay, great, now I have.
But you want to be viral? You're talking about being viral. I'm not talking about being viral.
No, not being viral, but
I'm talking about just making your band or your career or living from music. You don't need to be viral to live from music. To get a paycheck or getting some different revenue streams to pay your stuff.
Sure.
You don't need to be viral. You really don't need to. It's the rule of, you get like 1,000 fans that pay $10 a month doing something, you have $10,000 a month,
Yeah.
It's not so simple. Of course, you have to pay tax, you have your expenses, all that. But in that regard, so you don't have to have 5 million views, You have to have like the 10,000 is the 1,000 fans.
Yeah.
The 1,000 fans, people that follows you, likes you, and then you have to work in multiple areas to have this 10,000 fans. And it's not easy. It's not easy to be like playing soccer in a big team. It's not easy, to go viral. It's like, being.
Yeah, I think I used the wrong words. I didn't mean like to go viral. I meant like having the 10,000. Finding those 10,000, or even not those 10,000, those 1,000 people, getting these 1,000 people to really, give you like a $5 a month, $5 a month or something like that.
We have to. It's not a job that you go there and somebody's doing. When you go to a job, 9 to 5, you just go there. Somebody in that place that you're working is thinking how to get customers and thinking, or maybe hiring a marketing guy and whatever, somebody's doing that job. If you have a band or your own career, you have to do that job. You have to find the customers. You have to find the fans. So you're going to be the marketing section of your company. You're going to be the product developer of your, you're going to be like the guy who composed the song and developed the logos and all that. You're going to be the guy who takes care of the production. We're going to print the T-shirt. You're going to be everybody. You're going to be the guy who's going to deal with the contracts or like everything, and even the sales nowadays. You have to be the guy who goes online, posts a video, and then in the text you put like "buy my stuff," you know, and then maybe you make a video saying, "Hey guys, I just launched this new CD or T-shirt or whatever, and then please check it out and buy it." You have to be the salesman as well. So it's a decision. Do you want to go to a company that somebody else is going to be doing that? They're gonna give you something to do, and then you're getting a paycheck, or you want to do your own things. Some people feel comfortable to be in a corporation. Some people like to do the whole thing and develop something. And if you get bigger, you can even hire somebody to help you, and you have a girlfriend, a friend, a band. You're gonna be a bunch of guys, or girls, and then 4 or 5 people that can share this, work. One takes care of social media, the other one is a good booking guy, can try to sell some concerts. The other one is a good PR, and and then nothing's easy, and I think
absolutely,
also people expect like, well, I'm gonna post my video, and I'm gonna post one video every week, and I'm gonna get 10,000 fans in 2 months. No, you're not gonna get 10,000 fans in 2 months. Maybe in a few years. You have to build your career. It's not gonna happen like in 2 months. We have some people, some examples that some guys or some YouTubers or whatever suddenly they come, but you don't know what they did.
Yeah, you don't know.
And some people they make it faster, and it's not for everybody. But it doesn't mean that you cannot make it. It doesn't mean that you cannot have your 10,000 fans in a few years. You just have to build and look the statistics of your social media and see if it's growing. If it's growing, if there's a curve going up, great, keep doing it. You're gonna get there. Simple as that.
I think we talked last year about the Tim Ferriss book, The 4-Hour Week. And that book, I think it's a great book. I mean, there's so many tips and so many different things that you can actually apply on any area of business of your life, regardless if you're a musician or not. And yeah, he mentions a lot about checking your organic followers on social media and seeing if that curve is going up. If that curve is going up, you just keep doing.
Yeah,
what
this
you're doing.
4-hour week, I think he I think he talks about that, right?
He does,
just
yeah.
Posted and check it, like doing A/B tests. What would be the best title for the book?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so he puts like 3 different adverts out there, and then he checks which one was clicked more. By
of course,
people.
because everybody wants to work 4 hours a week. Who doesn't work?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to work 4 hours a week? But tell me the secret to work 4 hours a week. I think it's very dangerous, to be honest. I didn't read the book. I read a little bit because whatever, I don't agree with that thing. I really don't agree. I don't know the magic.
I think there are beats in the book that are really interesting.
4 hours a week is less than an hour. If you're just gonna answer and check it really depends what you call working, you know?
Yeah.
Because for me, playing guitar is not working. So if I take all the playing guitar from my life, maybe I'm working 4 hours a week, you know?
Yeah.
And chatting with you, is this work? Is it or not? For me, what is working is like when I'm really like in a tour bus. If I'm in a tour bus for a few hours, that's still fun. If I'm in a tour bus or like a long flight, and sometimes it's like, wow, this is a bit too much now, So then I feel like I'm working,
Yeah.
But if I have something nice, or a nice book, or have like a good Wi-Fi or a nice.
Even though the tour buses nowadays are so much better than in the past, aren't they?
Yeah. So if I have something or like a nice people, to chat during the trips, it doesn't feel like working. So if working 4 hours a week, you can take out all those moments, that's great. But
what I was going to say, Kiko, don't judge the book by its cover. I mean, it's not. I mean, I think it's just a title, and then he doesn't.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people take this
absolutely take it too seriously.
I don't need to work. Man, you need to fucking work like 14 hours a day if you want the thing to happen, your band or your career. Just wake up and keep your mind focused in whatever you want to achieve the whole day. There's no way. And don't tell me Tim Ferriss not the 14 hours. He's traveling to the Himalayas or whatever, and he's doing a podcast there. of course he's working, and then on the flight he's thinking the subjects or the questions or whatever, or he's reading another book to get ideas for his new interview. Whatever is working.
Yeah.
Everybody's working. You have to be, but if you love what you do, and I know this is everybody says that, but if you're really comfortable with what you do, you like. In my case, I love to play guitar. I love music, and I love interacting with the other people that love music. So I have fun spending hours answering the fans of my socials. Am I working? Yes, or maybe not. Maybe just having fun in the internet. So.
Do you actually? You never replied when I commented on your Instagram ever. You never replied. You see my messages and you never reply. So is that real, fans out there? Does he actually reply to you?
Yeah, well, the Instagram I don't. I need to, but I do the Facebook and I have some other groups.
I know you're very good at it. You interact a lot. With people.
Yeah. But the last year with the twins here, newborns, life is a bit different.
Yeah.
But the Instagram, some I have to decide. I think nowadays, that's my opinion. If you have like a totally free time, you should do everywhere. But I kind of decide where I'm gonna spend this connection.
Yeah, but with that in mind, Kiko, what do you do?
Like Twitter, I even don't look. Sometimes okay, let me check. Basically on tour, because the other guys from Megadeth, they use a lot of Twitter. So sometimes I know what's happening because of Twitter.
Because of Twitter.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a WhatsApp group kind of thing? Megadeth band, just the four of you?
No.
No.
No. No. But because the Americans in general, they're not using WhatsApp.
Yeah, it's crazy. In certain parts of the world, in Denmark, it's the same. My friends in Denmark, I tried. Nobody uses WhatsApp. It's all iMessage and
yeah,
text
because
message.
of it's just because of this technology gap. So the Brazilians use a lot of WhatsApp because they come from the time that they have to pay to send messages. So nobody was messaging anybody because you have to pay per message, right? And suddenly comes WhatsApp, and suddenly it's free, and then everybody jumps to WhatsApp. While here in US, the messaging was always in the whatever your plan, so you're not paying for that. You're just paying for the your plan.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason. So people got used to send messages because they're not paying anyways, and now. So with the Megadeth guys and all the crew, everybody's messaging. And then suddenly you have the iMessage that is using the Wi-Fi, but it kind of gets mixed. It doesn't matter, I think that's basically the reason. And then you can see this happening in many situations. Many US, there's a lot of old stuff here. Then you go to Brazil or other countries is much more developed.
Kiko,
like the banking in US is like so old-fashioned. I get crazy.
Whoa.
Oh man, this is like I feel like I'm like 30 years. Like
give me an example of something that winds you up. Give me an example of something that winds you up.
Sorry?
Give me an example of something that winds you up. Say you go to the cash point and you want to get money out and something happens, or
checks.
I
think
they use checks over there.
I used a check. The last time I used a check in Brazil was like a 95. So and then here I receive checks, or I have to pay with a check. I said, like, really?
Really?
I have to write a piece of paper? You trust more than wiring the money, like online, or paying with my credit card? Oh yes, you have to send a check.
Oh, that's crazy.
Man. And then it's they trust because I believe that the system of checks was always very correct, and people really trust, and they don't want to shift to even they have Apple Pay, whatever. It doesn't work here. Nobody use that.
Really?
A modern.
Wow, big time here in the UK. We all use that. It's great. I have my credit cards on my phone. It's perfect.
Even a credit card is like these old machines. So everything works the same way, maybe in the 90s. So yeah, check is the biggest example, and wiring is very complicated to do wiring transfer, very expensive.
Wow.
Comparing to to other
Within the country. So if you just want to wire money to someone in New York, do you have to pay a fee for that?
Oh yeah.
Really? That's crazy.
Wiring to other banks are like $17 or something like that.
Jesus, that's bizarre. I was going to ask.
You know what? And then what you do if you don't want to spend that, you cut a check. And then people ask you, oh, then you go to the post office and to send a check. Really?
Oh my
post
God,
office?
seriously?
I thought I was, my mother used to do that.
Yeah.
So, but if you compare to Brazil, because of a lot of frauds and stuff with checks, so people don't trust the piece of paper because you can sign a different name, whatever. You can change the number,
Yeah.
You can write thing. Yeah, so the banking in Brazil is way more developed. So I think the banking from 95 in Brazil is more developed than from the banking nowadays in the US.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
How much income tax do you guys in California pay? How much in tax do you have to pay on your income?
Oh, that's a complicated question.
Well,
But
like percentage. Do you know, like 10, 15?
Different brackets.
Mm.
And I think it's like you have the state is like 12%. The state
Right.
California is very. It's a lot of tax here in California. California is a state, a very expensive state to live.
Well, here in the UK,
So
17.5%. So
That's why a lot of
20.
Huh?
In Scandinavia, Denmark is 20%. It's a lot.
No, but I'm talking about state tax. I'm not talking about federal. And
Oh,
then
I
you have
see.
the federal.
Right.
So we can that up to 30% or more.
Mm-hmm.
And that depends how much money you earn.
Kiko, you're talking about like being focused. There's just one question that I wanted to ask you. Like waking up and being focused and doing this and doing that. What do you do to unwind? What's like a perfect lazy day on your books? Like say, you know what, today I'm just going to be lazy. And what do you do when you like, today I'm just. I know it's difficult now with 3 little kids in the house. Not so little. Livia, she's growing up now. She's quite big, but you have the little twins, and that's probably very difficult for you. But like, what would be a lazy day? I mean, do you
That would be with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like because it's a completely different vibe, and it's very rewarding. It's great. So you just go to any park, around the block, just go to a park and just, leave the phone at home and, that's great, be with the kids would be cool, or just go to, to the beach. I don't do that very often, but would be that. But if I'm alone, the running was a cool thing, but it's like an acoustic guitar in my hands in a quiet place.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's my meditation. That's for me. It's better than meditating or doing whatever, yoga or something. It's like
being quiet in a room with an acoustic guitar.
Huh?
Being quiet in a room with an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. That's cool. Or a piano. A piano is which is more complicated to have around.
Mm-hmm.
A real piano, not a keyboard, but a piano. I'm not a pianist, but I know how to play some stuff. And just like it's more like this acoustic sound of an instrument,
Mm-hmm.
like the vibration that it gives. When you connect a cable to the instrument, I think it loses a lot of, it loses this vibration, because when you embrace the acoustic guitar and you have your body connected to that piece of wood that's vibrating and you're creating music at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great. It's great, and it cannot be, oh, let me compose something or let me practice this exercise. No, not that. Playing something really whatever simple, just for the relaxation thing. The piano is the same way.
Yeah.
If you have a grand piano, a big piano with a great sound, if you just play one note, is already, is like it's a meditation thing. Which is amazing. In the meditation they play one note. They have this one note vibration thing. You know. So yeah. So for me, it would be that's the the perfect thing.
Good stuff. Kiko, I know you, gosh, I haven't, like, seriously, I have, like, this has been so interesting, but I have, like, so many other questions that we're not going to be able to cover it, because I think you have someone coming to your house to do some work sometime soon, so you have some time restrictions today, but that's good in a way, because then we can do it another one over when you're in Europe. You're in Europe again during the summer, right?
I will be in England, I will be, So we can do one face-to-face.
Face-to-face, we can do one live. Gosh, so basically the Dystopia tour, which was supposedly finishing last year, it's just going to carry on for the whole of 2018, it seems.
Yeah, they have the summer festivals in Europe and some extra gigs
and this
around.
tour with Judas Priest as well, right?
Exactly, which is fine. You know, Megadeth and with Judas Priest, Scorpions, all those bands with the legacy they have, they're able to play and tour really without having to show a new album. You know, if you have a new album, great, you can do the tour of the new album, but like 30 years of great music, you can keep playing forever, you know.
Absolutely.
And then there's always going to be fans and people interested to listen to all those songs.
And I think it's a reflection of the success that Dystopia achieved as well. Like we didn't even manage to talk about your experience at the Grammys. Like, Jesus Christ, you know, the first and only Brazilian musician to win that, and when you think about it, like if you just go back to 2013, West Hollywood, you know, just having barbecues and, you know, you playing acoustic guitar and just chatting in the swimming pool, and then you fast forward 4 years after that and you did all the things they did. It's just amazing, right? It's just phenomenal to see how life unveils.
It is amazing, but it's not the end.
Absolutely not. It's just, How old are you now, like Kiko? You 40?
It's the feeling, this feeling of, and it's an interesting feeling. People ask a lot about that, the Grammys or whatever. The Dystopia album was great in the charts. It was, and in the first week of the charts in US, it was like Adele, Justin Bieber, and Megadeth.
Wow, yeah.
So it was like third place, and many things like these, other awards and the Grammys, of course. It's great. It's like this moment of happiness, you know, like, oh yes, we did something good. You know? But at the same time, it's like, great. So what's next?
What's next? Yeah.
So, I think that's one of the secrets of. I mean, not secret, but it's, you know, we're talking about all these messages we hear. You have to be great, you have to practice, you have to do all the stuff that you're talking about. And that's one of the things, you know, you cannot be like, okay, I won the Grammy, great. So, and then, you know, the next minute, it's like, what's next, you know? Life is the same, you know. I come back home with the Grammys, you know, cool, I can take some pictures and show people, and it's great. And, it's good to talk about. It's good for your resume. You know, oh, now it's a Grammy winner guy. Cool. You know, maybe helps for some stuff. But life's the same. You know, the kids are crying at the back here, and and then I still struggle with some stuff. I want to, you know, compose new stuff. I want to, you know, be a better father. I want to play better guitar, and it doesn't matter. You know, in the end. A Grammy is a moment, is a symbolic thing, which is great, and just life keeps, and life is full of these moments of happiness, because there's no end or like a real happy life, you know, like so happy, you know, just like these moments of happiness that makes you keep going.
Yeah, you know? It's about living the moment.
The Grammy is a big one, and then it was at the moment that we won, at that night, and then from all the moments, like now that you mentioned the Grammys, it's like, yeah, it was good, you know, so it feels good. But when you finish this chat, it's not gonna be like kissing the Grammy statue here, you know, like the Grammy. So that's it. It's it. You know, it's like what is next? You know?
What is next? Yeah. So what is next? Yeah. What is next? What's going to happen?
What is next?
Yeah. Is that, well, new albums? Is there a new album coming up? And well, not anytime soon, I'm sure. But like, are there any talks about it?
I think this year the idea is more like doing the shows. We have some dates with Judas Priest in Mexico and the summertime stuff, and the second half of the year is I don't know yet exactly. Probably some more shows, but in between, like trying to get some ideas, and then maybe sooner or later getting with Dave. And then show the ideas and try to compose something, or just share ideas, with him and see what's preparing. He probably, writing something as well. And he's the composer of the band, the main composer. So, of course, any suggestion I might give would be, after listening what he's doing, kind of thing. So.
Kiko, yeah.
It's gonna be like this, discussion about what to do and ideas and preparing for the real songs and then release this year, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, Kiko. So to wrap up, I have some roller coaster questions which I ask all of the guests. So it's kind of like short answers for it. Just try and give me something short. And I was going to say I'm going to send you actually later on the sample of the beginning of the podcast, the intro of the podcast, and probably the end, because I'm going to speak to Raphael, and I'm going to speak to you as well. I want to use the Nothing to Say guitar riff at the beginning. Because man, that's one of my all-time favorite guitar riffs ever. It's just fucking. I love it. It's just really. It's probably my one. Well, not my favorite, but like one of my favorite Angra songs. And that guitar riff, man, which it's amazing. And I remember a story you told me years ago. That at the time you changed while you guys were recording Holy Land. You changed in the studio in a day that Andre Matos, the singer in the band at the time, he wasn't present because he liked that you were actually playing. It was a bit more straight. There was not it was different, and then he didn't want you to change. And then on the day that he wasn't in the studio, you changed the riff to what it is. And when he listened to the final mix, he was a little bit pissed off, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it was not that I went to the studio when he was not there. When we were recording guitar, normally the other guys are not there.
Yeah.
Because it takes days and days and weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had like a very straightforward riff, and then while we were recording. And I had Sasha as a producer there. I was like, this is too boring. Like, can I do some other stuff? And then start improvising some extra, licks and phrasing in between that straightforward riff. And then Sasha, the producer, said, like, yeah, that's great. Let's record like this. And then we recorded. And then Andre, when he came back to the studio and he listened, he said, like, wow, there's too many notes on top of my voice. And then it's normal. That's a normal thing that happens at the studio, because you're always proposing stuff, and the other guys of the band maybe prefer the other idea or the previous idea, or they're like, and then it's something that happens with music. If you listen too much one idea, then you start liking that idea, and it's very hard to change it for a new thing. So we have to have the mindset of, okay, never say no. And accept all the suggestions and listen for some time before you say no, before you say I don't like it. You have to listen a few times, because one idea that you listen 100 times against another idea that you listen for just once, of course the one with 100 times is gonna win. So not of course, maybe the new idea is like so great that everybody forgets everything. So. In that case, it was too many notes, and then it was on top of the singing, was in the chorus. So Andrea was like concerned about, it's too confusing. But actually, the producer liked it, and then we, stated the way I recorded. And actually, a lot of people like it. And then nowadays, in the later it's so common to have complicated riffs on, at the same time the singer is singing like some complicated lines. Nowadays, all the bands, the metal bands, are doing a lot of information at the same time. But we came from the time that, it was a steady riff, like all those traditional bands like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Scorpions,
Open
Saxon.
chords and singing on top, yeah.
Yeah, it used to it was easier riffs. And then when the singer is singing, and then you have the solo time or like a complicated moment. But yeah, I think that was a good song because of that, and because of the groove that we took from the samba, and it was the Brazilian music samba, the style, and then it was an idea from the drummer Ricardo. It was a great idea. So, and it was a song that started me and Ricardo jamming like different Brazilian ideas, grooves, that trying to be like a Brazilian groove with just, heavy metal drumming and
heavy
guitar.
guitars and drumming, all that.
Yeah.
Cool, Kiko. So let's do those roller coaster questions then, and then you go deal with your plumber or whoever is coming to fix your house. It's not a plumber. So, do you have or follow any morning routines, rituals?
Well, not really. Well, I mean, nothing special. Sometimes on tour, yes, but it's very complicated. My life changes all the time. When you're on tour, it depends. You're like flying dates or tour bus. If you have a lot of days off or not many days off. At home nowadays, I'm trying to be like this family guy, very early in the morning. So kids and making the house with 3 kids is like an enterprise. So it's a lot of stuff to do, and until I love to take my daughter to the school, and it's just a block away, so I walk with her. It takes 10 minutes, 5 minutes to walk and back. So getting everybody ready for the day to start, and then after 8:30. I can start doing whatever I have to do, So I try. It's not like very consistent, but I normally don't eat in the morning. If that's your question.
Oh, you don't eat? You simply skip. I was going to ask you, skip breakfast.
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes not, but yeah, I skip breakfast. Yeah, having a coffee. Coffee.
Black coffee, elephant coffee.
It depends. Now I'm home for a while, so I'm trying to go to the gym like in the morning. So I might eat little something, something, to go to the gym.
Yeah.
But when I'm on tour, that's luxury to go to the gym in the morning. You never know. Maybe you're like in the airport.
Yeah.
So it's a crazy schedule. So it's hard for me to be very consistent. But yeah, so that's the thing, Cool. And because being US, I have a lot of things still in Brazil going on, and I have an assistant in Brazil. So to talk to her, because of the time difference of 6 hours, so normally in the morning I try to do kind of more the business stuff, or talking, because of the 9 in the morning is already 3 p.m. in Brazil, so. Banks or whatever is going to close, so morning time has to be more like this, emails or messaging or something like that, with the Brazilian.
Yeah, bureaucracies, daily bureaucracies.
Kind of.
What's your spiritual practice, if any at all?
Spiritual, you mean? No.
Like if you have any spiritual practice, if you meditate, if you pray, if you believe in God, if you don't believe in God, if you have any spiritual, anything connected to spirituality.
Well, the meditation did it for a while. In that time that I said in Finland, yeah. So I don't feel like meditation in the middle of the afternoon, and but in the morning was good, but nowadays it's just impossible with the babies. I just want to help.
Can imagine.
I just don't want to be like that guy that leaves the babes crying
and you meditate in the room next door.
Doesn't feel like very peaceful. And I think all this religion stuff is well, the family here is everybody's Christian. My wife comes from a Christian family. You know, I was raised Catholic, but I think there's a religious thing. We have this idea of being something more private, and I think it's more kind of a Finnish thing to keep it private and not, I don't know, not like making like a marketing thing out of it, or you know, and yeah.
Fair play. What would someone who doesn't like you say about you?
Sorry?
What would someone who doesn't like you say about you?
Doesn't like me, like what do you mean, like a hater or something?
Well, someone that just don't like you.
Well, they probably say a lot of stuff.
From your point of view, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. That I suck. I don't know how to play guitar. I don't know.
Or maybe you're not a good Street Fighter player. That guy in Brazil, what's his name? Nando.
Yeah. But the thing, basically, that I know, I'm very shy. And one thing, and some other thing that I discovered later, and which is very complicated for me because my work. When I'm around people, I tend to be introspective. So if there's a lot of energy around, if I'm in a party, in a club, in a pub, around a lot of fans, in a confusing, whatever autograph session or something like that, I tend to be very introspective, and I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable, and then that's a problem. Although I like to be in the place, I just feel I'm not this guy that, hey, start, talking loud and hanging with people. I'm not this guy. I just don't know how to be like this. And this is a kind of a personality thing, to be like this introspective or whatever, energetic guy, and
some people might
so if you do
understand
any
in a
kind
different
of
way,
test, if you do any kind of test, this test for that, it's always going to show that I'm very introspective, and I don't like that. I can be very energetic on stage, but that's me with me. Around a lot of people is very hard. I like to be in a table with 4 or 5 people in a quiet place and talking, like in a normal level. I don't like to go to a pub and clubs and talking loud and this kind of things. A lot of noise, and I just don't like it. I don't feel good. So, but I'm a lot in those situations, as you can imagine. Backstage with a lot of people, or going to release parties or whatever. So it's always like I'm not feeling so comfortable in those places, and I even don't know that. I don't, and then I tend to be like very quiet, and then it sounds like I'm people
whatever. Might take it. Yeah, might think you're perhaps a bit arrogant, or a bit don't want to mingle with other
whatever.
people.
Not being. I just don't.
It's just your personality. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know how to be like being like super smiley and talking to everybody at the same time, and it's very hard. It just, for me, it's hard. But I do my best. But always under pressure. That's what happens to me. There's more people, then it's the opposite. But I try to to correct that sometimes. But it's just the right thing would be just to try to avoid those situations. And then, but I love to be with the fans. But I like to be like in a proper, the fans in a proper line, in a quiet place. Like this kind of meet and greet thing.
Yeah, nicely organized.
Yeah, that's great. Then it's great,
Cool. What's your view about money?
What?
What's your view about money?
One like a statement.
How do you see money? What?
I see as a freedom to do what you want, and I see as a safety net. So I don't see money as to buy things. I don't care. But for me, it's like having money or having whatever money. It doesn't mean to. I'm not saying to have a lot of money or something. It's like I can do what I want. You know, that's and I'm safe. I have the money. If this guy, you know, if I want to do like a jazz album for, you know, whatever, I can do it.
Yeah.
You know, because I have the money to do it, and then I don't need to go to work in like in a corner shop to make money. So
and obviously having the money to support your family.
So I can do whatever I want. I can say no to a proposal. You know, I don't want to do that. No. I'm not going to do that for the money.
You have the option of
this freedom
choosing.
of doing whatever I want and working with who I want to work with.
Yeah.
And then feeling safe. You know, mainly to say no to things, feeling safe to, you know, to feel life is good. Not buying things. It's just like I can support myself, I can support my family, and it's all good. And don't need to be a fancy life. I don't need to have a boat, not in like a super fancy house with a marble from, you know, whatever. You know, this, I don't care. You know, I really don't care. And yeah, so money for me is like, and it comes from the family. This, you know. Yeah, my family was always, you know, everybody in my family is kind of like that. So.
Good.
Yeah.
What kind of food do you go for when in need of a treat? When you want to have a treat, say, yeah, tonight, you know, people say tonight is pizza night, or tonight I'm going to have burgers, or tonight I'm going to eat the box of 12 Krispy Kreme donuts or something like that. What would you choose?
None of those. No donuts, don't like it. Pizza is good, depending of the place. Yeah, the good pizza is good. But burgers, I don't eat burgers. I don't like it. I just don't like it. So yeah, it would be a good meal in a good restaurant, you know, like good fish, or I don't know. Now I don't eat meat for a year and a half or 2 years almost.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah. So good fish, yeah.
A proper meal, proper food.
Food, you know. Or it could be like a Brazilian style, like rice and beans, and, you know, good, you know. Well, I don't eat meat now.
But
it's complicated.
But don't you have like, don't you eat, say, you know, I mean, a chocolate bar? There's a chocolate bar that you really like, and then when you see it, you normally don't buy it. But then, you know, sometimes you pass by in the supermarket counter, and then you just you know what?
Of course. There's like this supermarket here called Trader Joe's, and man, they have like a lot of, you know, cakes and chocolate bars, and it's amazing. One thing that if you give me 20, I would eat all this. Protein bars and cereal bars and this kind of bars. I'm quite addicted to those stuff, you know, or nuts, or I told you once, you know, just give me like this, you know, nuts, and I can eat like non-stop, you know, very compulsive. Yeah.
Kiko, good stuff,
cool.
Man. Thanks very much for this chat. That was great. That was really, really good. I still have a list of things that I wanted to ask you, but we're going to do it next time. And thanks for your time, brother. And yeah, I'll see you in the summer here in England.
Okay, man. Thanks
very much. Cheers.
Okay, bye-bye.